right, in this video, we are going to practice closing the books. Now, the exercise we're going to follow along with is over here on the right-hand side, and this is pulled from our basic level ProAdvisor certification course. If you would like more information about that course, be sure to click on the link below after we go through the exercise. But let's dive right in and see what we're doing today. Craig's accountant has suggested that he get in the habit of formally closing the books to prevent changes to previous periods. Craig is confused as to how this would work. So, can we help him out? The answer is yes. So, let's go through that exercise. You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. Now, if you're not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link below in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left-hand side. Specifically, this is the dashboard. So let's get started with the exercise. First, we need to click on Accountant Tools and then select Close Books. Accountant Tools is right here at the top. Select that. And then under Quick Links, you're going to select Close Books. Now the accountant settings is going to pull up for you. We want to edit the accounting section, so you can either click on the pencil icon right here or just anywhere in this section to have it editable. We're going to, next to close the books, we're going to click the toggle so it turns green. Go ahead and click on that. You see that it is green, that means it's turned on. The closing date here field will appear for us. We are going to type a lowercase t, T is in Tom, for today's date. So go ahead and click into that box and type a lowercase t to get today's date pulled up for you. Now, in a real life scenario, because you were closing the books, you would likely use the last day of the month, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to use today's date. So then you want to click on the drop down below that and select Allow Changes after viewing a warning and entering a password. So right now it allows changes after viewing a warning, but we want to have that a little extra security. So we're going to have entering a password here. So go ahead and click on that. Now the password field is going to appear. So when it does, you want to enter a password that you're going to remember. There are no password requirements. You can choose anything that you would like. In the confirm password field, you have to type the same password again. So I'm just going to type 123 in this password field to do something very, very simple. You can do whatever you would like as well. It can be numbers, it can be letters, it can be anything. So just type something in that password field, type the same thing in that confirm password field, and then select save. And now you will see that it has been saved, and we are all good here. So go ahead and click on done. And those settings have been saved for us. So now that the closing date has been set, let's show Craig what it would look like if he or anyone else tried to change a transaction in the closed period. From the left navigation bar, we're going to hover over expenses, then select vendors. So here is the left navigation bar right here. Hover over expenses, and then select vendors. We're going to look specifically at Bob's Burger Joint, so go ahead and click on them. They are the top one right there. Now, last month, Craig took his crew out to lunch and charged it to his credit card. So let's try and edit that particular transaction. Go ahead and click on credit card expense, the one for $18.95 or 97 cents. Just click anywhere on that line to have the expense pulled up. Now you could change anything on this transaction and get the exact same result. So for this example, we're just going to change what the memo field says. In the memo field, we're going to change the crew number to 103, and then we'll save and close this. So in the memo field, I'm not sure if you can see with my video screen over here, it says bought lunch for crew 102, change that 102 to 103. And then we're going to save and close it. Now, because this transaction was before the closing date that we set in the previous, earlier on in this exercise, you are prompted to enter a password. You would not have received this prompt on any transactions dated after the date that we closed the books. So because this was done, this particular transaction is before the close date that we just used, the today's date. That is why we are getting this pop-up warning. So you're going to go ahead and just click into your password box and type the one that you had before. And then you're going to go ahead and click on yes. All right, and then in a real life scenario, you could choose to select a warning without a password. It would look like the following down here. Note that there is no way to prevent changes from being made at all. So there, even with the password, you can't actually prevent changes from being made. The only options are to have the warning with or without the password. So if you just had it without that password, it would look like this. It would not have a box to enter a password. We had made the selection to have a password associated with it. And so that is why we had that extra box down at the bottom there. So since we have now made a change to a closed transaction, the change will show up in the exceptions to closing date report. So let's take a look and see how this is. In the, from the left navigation bar, we're going to click on reports to get to the reporting center. That's about halfway down this left navigation bar. Select reports. And then we're going to scroll down to the For My Accountant section and click on Exceptions to Closing Date. So scroll down until you get to For My Accountant. It is probably all the way at the bottom. Yep, here it is. And then we want to select the one that says Exceptions to Closing Date. Now, one report is going to show up here on the list, so go ahead and click on View. And this is the report that we are showing. So the first line of each transaction shows the date and time the transaction has been made or changed right here. Now below it on each shows the details of the transaction at the time it was closed. You can see that down here. And then the change would be what has been made, or the changes that were made they from the original have been crossed out and they are changed now in the green. So this is the original transaction before we actually closed the books, and then we made the change here. This has the date and time that we actually made that change, and then the changes themselves are what is in green. The crossouts were that original, and so that way you can see a history of this particular transaction and see how things have been changed. And if you had a lot of different ones, they would all show up here as well, so that it would be easier for you to see, toggle back and forth between all of them to see any kind of changes that were made after you close the books. But that is the process that you would go through for closing the books, and what would happen if somebody tried to make transaction changes after the fact. Now, if you like this exercise and you want to do more like it, or if you want more information about that basic level ProAdvisor certification course, be sure to click on that link below in the description, and I will see you in the next exercise.